So if this is your area, and you just want to find one side length, how do you do it? Josh?
Square root.
Correct. You square root the entire inside. So the square root of 252 will give you your answer. And when you put in your calculator, what'd you get, Matt? You have 15.8, which is a decimal. Does us no good. So when you're performing something in the simplest form, what it's asking you to do is put it into a mixed radical. Remember how we do that? So from entire to mixed, we need to look at a chart. What's your chart? 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared, and so on and so forth. You're going to look down those right numbers. These ones. You're going to find the biggest one that divides into 252. 36 does it? So 36 would be the next one on the list. When you divided 36 into it, what did you get? 7. So you've broken that into the square root of 36 times the square root of 7. There's some people struggling with this still, so pay close attention. We chose 36 because it came from the square chart. We chose the square chart because it has the same index. Square root of 36 is just simply 6. And the square root of 7 stays as the square root of 7 because when you put in your calculator, it's a decimal, and none of those numbers divide into 7. That's your final answer in simplest form. If you had chosen to divide by something smaller than 36, and this was a bigger number, you have to keep breaking it down. So you're not done until you can't divide into the radicand anymore. Any questions? All right. Next page. Yep. Just write down notes. Okay. Yeah.
Just make the area in simplest form. Still do the area.
No. So the area is 252 feet. The area is 252 feet. The side length is the square root of the area. So when you punch this in your calculator, what do you get? Right, so that's a side length, which isn't equal to 252, right? If you did that, and then you times it by itself, you would get 252. Good, Johnny? Okay. This one. These are the types of questions we're going to have to be able to do. So it says calculate the length of xy. When it gives you two letters like that, go to the first one and draw a line to wherever the second letter is. And that's the side length it's asking for. How do we calculate the side length of a triangle? This is a little bit of a reminder from the past few years in math. Started. A squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And you guys are going to see that all year in every unit. You've learned about it in past years, so it should be a bit of a review. Your c squared, this number, is always the longest side length. The one that's opposite from your 90 degree. So this is 90 degrees right here, right? You go directly across from it, that's always your C. Your A and your B doesn't matter. If you call this one A or call this one B, that's okay. Call that one A, call that one B, it doesn't matter. The big one is knowing your C. It always has to be your hypotenuse or the longest length. All right. Now we're going to calculate the length. So, a squared plus b squared equals a c squared. You can sub those numbers in. Let's call this side A. We'll call this side B. We'll call this side C. you just sub your numbers in. A is 4. B is 8. C is still unknown. What is 4 squared? 16. Plus, what is 8 squared? Still all equal to C squared. 16 plus 64 is equal to 80. 80 is equal to C squared. But we don't want C squared. What do we want? We want just C. We're looking for just a single C. So to find that, how do you do it? You square root 80. So if you were to square root 80 and you square rooted C squared, what would you get here? You would get just C. That's how you get C left by itself. So square root of 80 is equal to C. Question? Yeah, perfect. Oh, no. What about what? Are we solving for C? Right, you square 80 and that'll give you C. But, okay, you have the answer? What is the answer? 8.9. But what does the question ask you? No, it says it's higher radical now. So, you don't put things in decimal form. We saw this on assignment 1A. A whole bunch of you were putting things in decimals. Don't do that. Solve it the way it asks for. An entire radical. Square root of 80, is that an entire radical? Yeah, it doesn't have a coefficient. Yeah. So that's your answer. Just like that. Don't put a decimal. If it were to ask you for the exact value, also leave it like that. Putting it into a decimal isn't the exact value when it has a whole bunch of decimals after, right? So on your guys' assignment, you had to do the square root of 40. What's the square root of 40 in your calculator? 4.3, right on the dot? Or 6.3? 6.3. Should be. Oh, cube root. Cube root of 40 was on your assignment. 3.4, 3.42. So some of your calculators are rounding it, cutting it off at a certain point. What did you get, Jared? 3.41. So we got different answers, right? So just leave it as cube root or square root if it doesn't come out to an exact answer. I thought it was 3 point something. Maybe it was 20, not 40. Nonetheless, that's entire radical. So for mixed radical, what do we have to do? The side length, it hasn't changed. It's still the square root of 80. Now it's just saying, give it a final answer in mixed radical form. How do we do that? This is, pardon? Yeah, we have to write down our chart. Skip 3. Line. And you have to find one of these numbers again. And what number divides into 80? 16. 16 divides into 80? Okay, what do you get as a remainder, Carter? I saw your hand go up. 5. So 80 breaks into the square root of 16 times the square root of 5. And what is the square root of 16 actually equal to? 4. So your final answer is 4 times the square root of 5. Any questions on how we did that? Now, C is saying decimal to the nearest side. Oh, question. Sure.
Didn't you say there's like always a 2 there, even if there's no number?
Yeah, so
Wouldn't you like put a 2 there?
the 2 that's always here, you're talking about right here, right?
Yeah.
That's your index. That's not a coefficient, it's your index.
I don't use that one.
Pardon?
We don't use that one.
When we use the index?
Yeah. We don't use it during this?
We use it when we're converting mixed to entires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was when we would bring the number underneath,
Yeah.
and then we use that number as our exponent.
Okay.
Yeah, Matthew.
Let's say 5 7.
Right here? No, it's a crappy, it's a part of that line. Now, Murphy. Decimal form. Here's under. 8.94. He got that just by punching in his calculator. Square root of 80. So 80 is equal to, you said 8.94?
Yep.
And that's the final answer for nearest 100. Start to click. Good. Any questions about this one? Good. Lots of practice helps, right? Review questions. This is when we'll see that again. Convert to an entire radical. Entire radical means there's no coefficient. That's a coefficient. So we need to get rid of it. And I just lost my board. That's the coefficient that we're looking to get rid of.
So you bring it under the example because it's not being
Exactly. So Murphy nailed it. When we're converting things to entire radical form, the radical sign is not going to change. So we know we're going to end up with square root sign. The 2, it's not going to change. It's still staying there. The radicand stays underneath. This 4, like Murphy said, you bring it underneath here. And now you use that sign. So whatever your index was right here, make it appear there. And what is it? Because it's not there? The 2. And all you have to do is solve what's underneath the radical sign. Carter. 32. Who agrees? Forrest agrees. Yeah. We got people agreeing all over the place. So we got that by going square root of 2 times 16 equal to the square root of 32. 16 came from 4 squared. Now, convert the mixed radical in simplest form. Number 2. There's a couple other tricks we need to remember the simplest form. If it's a fraction, you have to break that fraction down into simplest form as well. This one's not, but you're going to see that. Okay, convert to a mixed radical form. What chart do we need? The cube chart, right. So, 2 cubed, 3 cubed, 4 cubed, 8, 27, and I don't know, 4. And then 125. So which one of these numbers goes into that number? Joe says 27. We have someone agreeing over there. 5 times 27. Beautiful. So Joe broke this into the cube root of 27 times the cube root of, you said 5? Don't lose your cube signs. These right here on the index. They don't go away. They always stay the same as that one. On your assignment, those are already disappearing. Don't let them disappear. Okay, the last part. What's the cube root of 27 actually equal to, Joe? You do. Turn your calculator. The cube root of 27. 3, yeah. The cube root of 27 is equal to 3. Nothing else divides into 5, so you leave it alone. That's your final answer. Any questions? In 2 seconds, let's just finish this one. This one's quick. Is this an entire or a mixed radical? It's mixed. Why is it mixed? Because there's a coefficient. This number right here makes it a coefficient. So that's it. What's the index in this question?
4.
Starter, 4. What's the radicand in this question? 8. And what's the coefficient in this question? 5. Yeah. Any questions where those numbers came from? That's just definitions. Okay.